Hello and welcome to the penultimate episode of the first season of the Fantasy Football podcast. Fantasy Football is the game where myself and my co-host Rob pit our favourite fictional characters against each other in a five-a-side football match. This week, it's Oscars week. However, the podcast is more worthy of a Razzie. It's an episode that's fraught with disaster, from microphones cutting out, audio corrupted on upload, to even Rob's dog Pepper trying to have her say in the background. It's a real who's who of how podcasts can go wrong. Lesson for all you prospective podcasters out there is to check your audio as you go. It will save you time and it will save you having to do this weird intro at the start of your next episode. Anyway, we decided we were going to go ahead with it. We're going to upload it. There's some really interesting picks, some good matchups, and we had a lot of fun making it, even if it hasn't turned out quite right. If you're not interested in listening to a more rustic amateur production of the Fantasy Football podcast, you can go back and check out some of our other older episodes. Food Mascots in particular for me is a real winner, but we've also got some great things on Marvel villains, witches and wizards, or even check out the first one, the good old days of mobsters and gangsters. You can also skip to about a minute from the end of this episode where we'll run through the results and we'll talk through the key matchups quickly for you just to summarise. Whether you choose to listen to something from the back catalogue or skip to the end, thank you for listening. Your support's been great in this first season, so thank you very much and hope you enjoy this episode. How are we doing?
Yeah, not bad, are you?
All right, looking forward to this week of Fantasy Football.
Definitely.
Should we start as always with the prize from last week?
Yeah. Once again, I was the winner.
Okay.
I think. Sure I was. Yeah. So.
All right. Rub it in a bit more, why don't you?
Yeah.
Fine.
And yeah, I got you a present. It was very kind. Definitely the largest present we've had in the series so far. A massive. I can't think what delivery service it was, but a massive truck turned up, and out came a massive selection of toilet rolls, which was very kind. Obviously, it sounds like an odd gift, but based on last year with the coronavirus, that was kind of a currency, wasn't it? So I thought it was a nice idea, but at the same time, it was. I mean, it was fine, and I thought, he obviously means well because there was a time when that was very valuable. But it was all going well until I had a lot of people messaging me on Facebook and Twitter, and I looked and you'd highlighted that I'd bought it for myself, and it was so no one could have it in the event of another wave of the virus. So now everyone hates me in the world, and I'm kind of a public enemy for hugging toilet paper, even though you sent it to me. So that was quite a dark turn you took with your prize this week. But I still appreciate the thought, if there was any thought, which it looks like there wasn't.
Oh, well, I just think the world needs a villain, and and things are starting to look a bit more positive, aren't they? So make you the Bogrel Bandit. It will sort of get people united. Didn't realise, obviously, that there'd be all this mad league bants flying around. Yeah. So I didn't do that. Could have got you something nice, but props to Agnew.
Yeah, he saved me, really, because that meant there was sort of like a 70-30 split in favour of people focusing on the European Super League, and then 30% just sort of verbally abusing me on the internet. So if it wasn't for that, then it would have been a lot worse. But yeah, who knew that would be a godsend for somebody other than the owners of the supposed Big Six.
Indeed.
But that's not happening, so that's good.
Yeah, we're all feeling a little bit better about that. Although it would have been nice to see Spurs and Arsenal in a shootout for last place.
Yeah. That'd be the ultimate punchline from it, at least.
Shall we discuss this week's theme?
Yes. Again, it was my turn to pick the theme, and obviously, I know I've said this so many times, and it rarely happens, but we try and keep it topical. And as we both know, the 2021 Oscars are coming up on the 26th. Which on the date of this, on the date this going live, it'll be 3 days in the future. So that shows how on the ball we are. Usually it's held in February, so it's quite late. But there is a global pandemic still, so don't take it to heart. There's a good reason for it. But at the same time, I love the Oscars. I like staying up for American events. I like staying up for the Super Bowl, but I don't really know why. But with the Oscars, I just love films, and so it's my ideal thing. The BAFTAs just isn't like prestigious enough, but the Oscars is the very top. And yeah, so this week I've gone for Oscar-winning characters, which could be it could be the character in an Oscar-winning, someone who won Best Actor at the Academy Awards or Best Actress, or it could just be a character in an Oscar-winning film. The only real rule I've tried to keep to is that they have to be in an Oscar-winning film to some degree. But I know even with that, you can kind of play around with it a fair bit, even under those rules.
Hey, everybody loves films. We've all seen at least one Oscar-winning film, and there's got to be at least one character you like in that, right? So
yeah, definitely.
Hopefully, an interesting week. Maybe start my comeback. I have to win this week in order not to lose in the season. So yeah. There's that, although I've kind of resigned myself to
one thing I've definitely enjoyed this week, and I love the team names, but this week I've had a lot to work with, so I've come up with a lot of options.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to say my one medium proud of?
You say your one that you're medium proud of, because I feel like mine, it's kind of, mine are just a big long list, but yours is one very well chosen pick.
Well, 17 Oscar nominations. So, I mean, with 2 wins, so Meryl Streep's in there. Green Street Elite obviously should have been nominated for something, but wasn't. But does have Elijah.
Yeah, no. This shows this is a very bad start for me, because from all the different people and films I've referenced, I haven't referenced Meryl Streep at all, and she's like the big dog of the Oscars, really. So.
Go on then. Who have you got?
I'll get through my long list. The other options that I've picked before my main pick included Parasite, like Parasite, but mixed with Five-A-Side.
Okay. Explain it, and that's always the basis of a good joke.
Again, with many of my team names, if written down, you'd be on the floor right now. But have you seen Parasite, actually?
Do you know, I haven't. I meant to, but
it's a very good film. The only thing is, it's all subtitled, so you do actually have to. I think that's what makes it better, because with a lot of films, you just can kind of ignore it and go on your phone. But with that, you do actually have to watch it and be like, bloody hell, this is good. I've also got The Shape of Walter Smith.
Wow.
Like The Shape of Water. This one's a bit risky, but I think we're coming to the end of series 1, and we've been fine so far. 12 Years of Russell Slade.
Brilliant.
The Milk Cup, as in Harvey Milk. This is a cheap shot, really. Dallas Buyers Football Club. The Silence of the Lambs, like Philip Lahm.
Fine, that is classic fantasy football naming.
Yeah,
I like
some
that.
of these are some of the OG names, like Dances with Wolves. That was my next one. That was very, I mean, I'm not even changed that, but that works. Chariots of Chicago Fire. This is a bit of sometimes I'll just throw in a Derby midfielder or former Derby, current Derby, maybe even future Derby player. I've got Florian Joseph Zoonlight, like Moonlight.
Yeah. I admire the.
Yeah. Transfer Argo, Ben Affleck's film Argo. You like this one. This is a proper, unique, traditional fancy football name. $1 Million Bebe, Craig Shakespeare in Love.
That's one so far.
Adama Deus Traore.
Okay.
like Amadeus. The sound of Pulisic. Recently he confirmed that he's not, because I always used to say Pulisic, and I also used to call him Tony Pulisic, but I've stopped doing that now. But Christian Pulisic apparently likes to be Pulisic, so that actually does work. I needed like a VAR check, but that does work. Offside Story.
Lovely.
And Ben-Hur like Beckham. Some of them are some of the best I've ever done.
Very strong week for you.
Yeah. But the team name I picked, and I'm so proud of this, because I honestly, before we even started this podcast, I had this pun in my mind, and I thought one day I'd love to make this work either during the Oscars or something that this actress is involved with, just because it's the perfect pun. So I had to have it as my team name. And as soon as I remembered I'd thought of this, I thought there's no way I can leave this out. So my team name is Francis McDormand.
Beautiful. That is the best of the lot as well.
It has to be. Borussia Dortmund mixed with Oscar winner Francis McDormand. It's just perfect.
You've nailed it there.
Thank you. That's the best ever effort, I think. Some really let it down, but others make up for it.
Oh, means. Well, I mean, what more is there to say? Head on over to the match, right?
Yeah, let's go. I'm unsure where to start, so I think I'm going to start with what I think is probably my most rounded pick. I'm going to start with my central midfield pick, because I thought this obviously for Oscar-winning roles, there's so many kind of characters that stand out and are very sort of forthright, and the kind of, sometimes they're even real people, obviously, to name a few: Freddie Mercury and Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln and Ray Charles, and all these famous people that have been played that are, they had made a big statement, and therefore they made a film of them. So there's a lot of different options for people who are going to lead as the sort of captain of the teams. But I've gone for a captain that has got captain in the name of his character. I've gone for Captain John Miller, played by Tom Hanks from Saving Private Ryan.
Interesting.
And I actually rewatched that recently, so I kind of feel like I know more about it than ever before. So my pick's very. I'm a full heart in that now.
What?
Central midfield.
I think you did say blank, so go fish. Okay. I've got an interesting one up against it.
Yeah.
Did you watch Tonya?
I didn't actually, but it was on the other night, and I nearly did, and I wish I had now.
Honest, highly recommend I, Tonya. I think it's an absolute powerhouse of a film. And Alison Janney, who mum, Lavonna Golden, in it, and she won Best Supporting Actress in 2017. And she is just like, she steals the show. She's absolutely iconic in it. And the character really is like a vicious midfielder. She's kind of vicious in how she acts towards Tonya, right. But she also drives her like she's a pushy parent and drives her forward. I thought that's the sort of aggression. That's the sort of like, I wanted to get in the midfield to kind of, rough them up. I've gone with like nice sort of friendly midfielders recently, I think, and so I wanted to get that bit of nastiness. And so, coming up against is a pretty good.
It's two very different types of leaders, really. One that's quite aggressive and unpleasant from what I know from that character, and one that's kind of like sort of quite reserved and diplomatic, but obviously like does have experience of leading people. I'm not really sure how to split it, but I'm not trying to concede so easily in round one of the penultimate episode, but I don't know. I do kind of think maybe you've sort of gone for the jugular on this one, because that's quite a strong, intimidating character, and Captain Miller isn't really that way given. He's actually in the film. If anything, maybe watching it recently was a bad thing for me, because I'm aware that in it he's actually a school teacher, because obviously it's based in World War Two. I'm pretty sure it's World War Two. Shows how much I paid attention. But the but he, so obviously he's had to go to war, and he's actually like a school teacher, and he admits it at one scene, and it's like he's trying to keep everyone together. And he's like, listen, I'm doing my best, but I'm not like cut out for this. I'm making it work, but I'm not like a trained soldier. I'm just, I've been pulled out of my job to do this. So I'm kind of unsure whether a school teacher would have much chance against somebody as forthright and overbearing as Tanya Harding's mom.
I do, even if they, I don't think there's many Lavonna adaptation anyway. Not to speak for the real life Lavonna. I don't. The film adaptation, she came across as absolutely wicked. Like she, I think you could be, you could probably be like a child saver. That was good. And she'd probably still be like, get out of the way.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. I'm kind of obviously I try to shoot myself in the foot as much as possible, but I can't help but maybe think I don't think he'd get past this round. And also, he dies in the film, so I kind of that's kind of grating on me. That I'm like, I mean, he doesn't even survive the film he's in. So maybe I was sort of built to fail, but at the same time, your pick would beat mine, I think.
Right.
So
I'm taking a lead. I think it's right. It's at that we mentioned both Saving Private Ryan and Tom Hanks in the opening gambit. I think a colossal picks. So it's all been for the greater good, particularly if I go 1-0 up. So there you go.
Obviously not the best start for me, but so I'm sort of being careful over what I go for next. But I mean, to be honest, the rest of my picks are quite they're sort of quite mad characters, and it'll either end well for me or not. But I'm still happy with the ones I've gone for. I think I'm going to go for my centre back next, because it's a sort of pick that I don't want to lose. If I go for something else and you've already got it, I'll be quite gutted. So I've gone for. I just thought, what out of everything, what do you want in the centre back? And I mean, like a lot of the big defenders in the past, people said he wanted a gladiator, and so I thought I'll actually pick gladiator. So I've got Maximus Decimus Meridius at centre back.
I had the same centre back.
Did you?
Yeah.
You have to. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's just the perfect pick.
There's no other choice, right?
Yeah, he lost his entire family, but he's utterly ruthless. And he's one for entertaining the fans. He says, "Are you not entertained?" But at the same time, he's completely ruthless. So he's perfect defender. Maybe I am.
Well, so that's a point for you later on as well. Would you like to know who Maximus is coming up against?
Yes.
It's
Is it also Maximus?
Yeah. Crowe co-star actually, and they were in this film together, so it's a Russell Crowe round. And I'm not quite sure why I've picked it now. Really like the film, but I've gone. Why? I've gone for Fantine from Les Mis. By Anne Hathaway.
Oh, that's an interesting pick.
It is.
And it's weird. It's weird that I didn't expect it, because I know you like Les Mis.
I'm going to stall for time here. I'd never seen Les Mis on stage. I hadn't really been that big of a theatre fan, to be honest.
Yeah.
But seeing that film, even with Russell's kind of rust singing, shall we say, and all the rest of it, it just captured my imagination to the point that I actually really liked. So, it was a gateway for me. And I know some people say the singing wasn't that good, and there's other bits and bobs, but I think that was such an epic film on such a grand scale. And the scene where Anne Hathaway sings "I Dreamed a Dream" is just that's what won the Oscar. It's just it's
right.
like it's gut wrenching, it's heartbreaking, it's everything you want from a scene, and magnificent. Love it, and obviously Anne Hathaway was fantastic as Fontaine. I'm not quite sure why she'd be a good winger. I think I was going down the route of
she's resilient. I know that about the character. That's all I know.
I think I was going for that idea of having like a the show based sort of on the I Dreamed a Dream thing, maybe leaning into the ambition of I Dreamed a Dream. On it. This is one of those where I wish my notes weren't written in Sanskrit. I think I just wanted an excuse to put Les Mis in.
Yeah.
It's not a great argument, but I'll make you fight it out longer.
Yeah, I mean, the two I know obviously they're very different characters, but really they do have the similarity that they're kind of survivors, and they've done a lot to keep going, and they've gone to extreme lengths to kind of like keep going forward. So they have that in common. I wish I knew more about Les Mis so I could, understand your side a bit better. But from my angle, it's just that Maximus is just 2 foot in everything, and somehow he's getting away with it because the ref's looking at him and he's like, "Oh well, I'm not sending him off." But
so I know I'm rooting for him, really. Like...
Yeah. And then he'd sort of be like a Cantona, I suppose. I know, obviously different position completely, but he'd be the type to go and he'd tackle someone in a really nasty way, and then he'd go and do a speech to the fans of both teams for some reason, and then carry on. And they're like, I don't know how he's getting away with that, but okay.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to humor me at all. It's we're level again. I think this is 1-1. Maximus is like, I think the key difference here is you understand why you've picked your pick, and I also understand why Maximus is coming in at centre back. Neither of us really know my head, and if I could bring on a sub here, I would, but unfortunately I've got to use that for my centre back, so I'm in a bit of a pickle. So shout if anybody listening to, I don't imagine there's a huge crossover between our listeners and Les Mis fans, but watch it's great. It's great stuff. So watch Gladiator as well. Watch all the films because they're all obviously good.
I'm definitely going to watch. I'm going to watch I, Tonya now because I've still not seen that.
Good film. I really wish Margot Robbie had won the the Oscar for it. Obviously, Neighbours fans.
It's a shock we haven't had Neighbours week yet.
It's a travesty, really. There's
so
much we could choose from.
You know what? I won't go too much into it because I've become very passionate about it recently. I know you're a more long-term fan than I am, but I've got so into Neighbours the last few months, and it's because obviously I pretty much watch all the soaps on and off, particularly EastEnders, but I dip in between all of them a bit. But the thing is, I think the thing that stands out about them is that between them, they always have sort of there's a period of time where a new storyline comes up and you think, when's this going to conclude? And with Corrie, there's such a long time for it. With EastEnders, it's probably longer. With Hollyoaks, it's slightly shorter. But with Neighbours, it's just hilarious how short the start and end of each storyline is. Because sometimes they'll even ruin it in the next time on bit at the end.
Yeah.
They'll say they'll be like, oh my God, Carl's got stabbed in the eye, and then they'll be like, who's done it? And then in the next time they'll be like, I'm glad we found out that it was Toady stabbed him in the eye. And it was like, and it's like, well, I mean, I'll watch it, but I already know who did it now because you just ruined it. And there's no, it's not like, oh shit, well, that's an accident. It's like, it doesn't matter. We'll, we don't waste time. I remember sometimes they'll have massive drug. There's like a drug dealer at the school or something, and it'll be concluded in like two episodes. And I just like that they're just like, we can't be arsed wasting your time. Here you go. Every episode's short, and it's just like, there you go. we'll move on to the next one. Are you happy with that one? Doesn't matter. It'll be over in 10 minutes. Really, don't worry. And I like that because I'm bored to death with some of them. So fair play to Neighbours for that. I know people probably won't watch it, but I'd say it's probably my favourite soap because they just go next.
It's
okay.
Idea, isn't it?
Yeah, and they just go, should we just give him like a robot arm? Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
doesn't
fine.
matter. Who cares? And it's just like, should we just set the school on fire? Yeah, okay. Why don't they just have an affair? Yeah, but as long as it's over in like 10 minutes, and like, yeah, fine. There we go. It's always like there's no arson about, and it's very Australian, really. But yeah. Anyway, we will have Neighbours Week eventually. We have to. We just have to.
My gut is saying it's probably Nina takes this. I think.
I don't know.
I think the way.
I know, sort of on thin. I know it's only 1-1, but I'm being wary of losing the lead again. But I think I'm going to go for my. Actually, no, I'll go for my winger because I've kind of gone for a similar approach to you, really, where. I mean, originally I had a different pick, and I won't say what they are in case it ruins the future picks in this episode. But for my winger, I changed it a few times, and I thought for one thing, I didn't want it to all be men in my team because I thought that was a bit. I don't want it to be a male-dominated team, especially in this category. There's loads of good best actress characters and characters in films that happen to be female. It doesn't have to all be men, as you've shown, because two of yours so far have been. So
yeah,
you hat tip on that. But I wanted to show some representation, and I love a good psychological thriller. / horror, really, but but so I went for a Darren Aronofsky character because after David Fincher, he's one of the best at it. David Fincher's my favorite director, but Darren Aronofsky's pretty good at just being like, here's the trippiest film ever, try and work out what the hell's going on. And so I've gone for Nina Sayers, played by Natalie Portman from Black Swan.
Oh, brilliant!
That's because she's very unhinged. Clearly, but at the same time, she's kind of driven and can perform when needed. And it's similar to Anne Hathaway character in the sense that it's like another kind of theatrical background character, but there's a lot of layers to.
Yeah, I think that's a really solid selection. I did see when I was going through the list of characters to choose. I saw Black Swan. And I thought that is really that could be a really cool outside pick.
Yeah,
probably should have in my own team, but there you go. Get over it, David. Fontaine's happened now. Well, this would have been Nina Sayers would have been coming up against Maximus from Gladiator.
Oh, of course. I forgot about that.
Yeah, sure. That's sort of like after the match where they talk about masterstroke, and they're just like, yeah, no, definitely, yeah, great. So I've got a one.
Yeah,
like I did go quite to the century, Rob.
Yeah.
So far, well, probably just. So this is another this is the 20th century. I've gone for Blanche DuBois, Streetcar Named Desire.
Oh,
as played by Vivian in 1951.
That's you never fail to surprise me.
So she best actress for it. Weirdly, I think this wrong and everybody's like because they Google it, but I think Streetcar best actress, best supporting actor, best actress, but it didn't win best actor, but it did catapult Marlon Brando in mainstream.
Yeah,
as with the famous scene where he's outside the window just shouting "Stella!" Glorious bit of history. Anyway, it's not about Marlon Brando and Stanley Kowalski. It's about, and I went for her because sub to bring up because she kind of lives in her own world. And I thought, like, in a creative way, like she got a lot of lies on the go during the film, so she's going to be quite adaptable with the truth. But she's also quite a steely, resilient character in many ways, and that the firm idea of what the world should look like. She kind of on Stella and Stanley for like how they live and stuff. She's quite a middle class character, so she's got that kind of like steely nastiness about her. And look, ideal spot for centre back, and maybe this was desperately trying to look like I'm. But I think there's like a bit of mileage, particularly if she's up against Nina Sayers. I think there's an interesting kind of battle to be had there.
No, definitely. And they're kind of both. I mean, if anything, like, I think Nina Sayers has more of a kind of transformation in the film where she turns into a more steely character. Because obviously at the start she's quite normal, and by the end she's just sort of vicious, but at the cost of like it's the cost of changing how she is, but to be successful and do the play as it should be. But yeah, I don't know how we decide that. It shows how uncultured I am, because I go on and about, oh, I like this and that, but then I've not seen Streetcar Named Desire. So
it's minutes since I've watched it. It is I'm clawing on my GCS school edge of Streetcar, so it's a little bit off. So I'm pretty sure anybody who's familiar with it more than sort of watching rip apart what I've said, a bit of a reversal anyways. I mean, at the end of Streetcar, Blanche kind of softens a little bit. I mean, she is like, it's quite dark, the journey. It's like a incident with Stanley that I don't think we can if we want to like stay safe for work. But you know, she goes through like quite a torrid time of it. She's a teacher, little teacher thing going on here, but she's sort of had a bit of a break, and then she ended up being a little bit loose, which obviously around the time Streetcar set wasn't a good thing. And then she thinks she's going to find love, but then it gets stolen away from her a bit by Stanley, and she kind of ends up at the film. She's kind of like a bit more, whereas like Nina obviously goes from kind of a soft character. So we're kind of, if I was going to balance it out, I'd say maybe Blanche starts stronger, but I think Nina grows into the game.
Yeah, which I think it does reflect her character in Black Swan. But then I don't know. I think my only concern with my character is it's just like how she's kind of a bit unhinged, and I'm not sure if she'd even know what she was doing half the time. I'm almost tempted to make a sub just because I never do, and I kind of want to mix it up.
Yeah, go on then. That sounds fun.
Well, you know, my original plan was to have, but I'm not sure about. I feel like I don't know. I don't know enough about your character, I suppose. But
honestly, I think you're throwing away a goal here. But hey, our own moments. I brought on Aunt Bessie for Julius Pringles and lost. So, you know, dealer's choice.
It's just, I don't know. I had an original idea of a sub I wanted to. Well, it was the player originally going to play here, but then I didn't pick them, and I don't know. I just feel like it's missing. But at the same time, I'm I don't know. I'm wary of ruining this like whole this episode by accidentally winning and then not having much fight between us. So I can't. But because of that, I'm kind of in the mood to shake things up and make, you know, hopefully make things a bit more interesting. So I think I'm going to use one of my subs. Well, my only sub. If only there was more than one. So I think I'm going to bring on my original pick, which was Forrest Gump.
Okay, nice.
And you know why? Because this is sort of like, this is my original heart choice. Because he can run, and that's it.
And you know, I'm the sort of simple person that would go, yeah, fine.
Yeah. So
fine. I can't compete with But
I think, you know, before you said about the impact Tom Hanks has had on film and just Tom Hanks in general, just how great he is. So I want to have two Tom Hanks in my team. I nearly had. I was tempted to say I'd have like the Oscar Tom Hanks treble and have a hat trick of Tom Hankses, and the third would be Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. But I don't know. I just feel like an AIDS-riddled Tom Hanks wouldn't have benefited the team. That's the truth of it. But I feel like Forrest Gump, you know, he's kind of similar to like an Aaron Lennon who's just built the career on pace, really. Maybe no end product, but he can run, and he just never gets tired. Partly through stupidity, but that's footballers for you, isn't it? For a lot of the time. So, but you know, they're not paid to be smart. Just you know, they're paid a lot not to be smart, but that's fine because that's not the job. And so yeah, I like to mix it up, and I'm feeling risky, so I'm going to bring on Forrest Gump.
Yeah, pretty safe pair of feet to bring on there.
It's like bringing on Vinicius Junior when you're like, there's like 10 minutes left, and you're like, here's the quickest player you've ever seen.
I think the goal's still yours. I don't think you've shot yourself in the foot there.
Well, I can't argue with that.
2. So I've got to stay in this and the season. Tense.
I've decided to go with my goalkeeper next because I've always been a big fan of goalkeepers, and that's always been my strong point if I've ever played football. Partially because I like playing in goal, and also because I'm terrible at football. So it's always been like something close to my heart. And with this, normally as you'll have noticed, I've tended to go for people who have gloves or somebody that's kind of got a big physical presence. But this time I've kind of gone for like the sort of like getting in your head sort of angle, which I've done a couple of times, but I've mostly gone for kind of physical traits. But I mean, I'm a massive fan of horror films and thrillers. So when I saw this pick as an option, I just couldn't refuse it. And I really love the Silence of the Lambs, the Hannibal films. And I thought, who could stare you out better than Hannibal Lecter, especially Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal Lecter. So that's who I've gone for in goal.
That's a huge pick. He with very little screen time as well, so he's big moments, right?
Yeah. When you watch it back, you think surely, you know, he's in like every scene. He actually doesn't really say that much, but he's just freaky as hell the whole time. Yeah,
it's an iconic role for somebody that's played so many characters. Yeah, definitely. Hannibal just like sits in your butt.
Yeah, but who's he stopping?
I think this is quite clever. If I do,
yeah.
2012 smash hit Django Unchained.
I am.
Do you like Crystal?
Oh my god, that's a very good pick. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, I've gone for sharpshooting Dr. King Schultz, bounty hunter and winner of Best Supporting Actor.
That's a very good pick. I hadn't even thought of that.
Extremely, extremely heavily on the sharpshooting angle, in that he would be able to pick a spot. It's also quite nice to pick. I thought it was a nice balance against Lavonna's kind of completely egocentric character. It's quite nice to have somebody who, like, good, like he was against slavery.
Yeah.
Helped to free Django, and I just thought, hey, and he's German as well, so there's like that ruthless efficiency.
Yeah, yeah, which is great. I mean, it's
German,
very effective. It's very effective in football.
Exactly. So I think it'll be more like Timo Werner in the Bundesliga than Timo Werner at Chelsea. But so Dr. King Schultz taking on Hannibal Lecter. So it's kind of it's an absolute icon of cinema in Hannibal.
I'm kind of. I hate kind of like burning my own bridges, but I do. One thing that's kind of already sticking in my mind is that I feel like there's a lot of moments in Django Unchained when Christoph Waltz's character will come up against. He'll just come across sort of very odd or intimidating characters, and he doesn't seem to think much of it. So I do kind of felt this bodes badly for me.
He does feel unshakable. I mean, there's a few tight moments where you think, okay, they're overwhelmed, and he just sort of like plays a bit of a brain game and gets out of it. Now against Hannibal, that's two titans of the mind.
Yeah, that's an ultimate brain game.
I definitely saying that Hannibal is not someone that would put. I think Schultz is still pretty in front of goal. That maybe I'm wrong. I mean, Hannibal is so.
That's the only thing. I mean, he could eat him, but I don't know. I do kind of feel quite negative about this because I think my main worry was that you're going to have Clarice Starling was going to be your striker, or you'd have her on the bench, and then I think, okay, well, this is tough because she's the only one that can really get in his head. Not even in sort of like in a sort of manipulative way, but just in a way where he doesn't seem to listen to anyone except for her, and he sort of respects her almost. And he kind of he's happy to sort of go along with things if it's her idea. So I feel like that would have been that would have been the Achilles heel. But I mean, I do think your pick is the type that might be unfazed by him.
He's from the school of thought that is is a very positional pick. I think if we were looking at like status as like a character that will live on forever, Hannibal, beats Dr. Schultz hands down. But if we're looking at like who probably plays really well in the position, I do think Schultz is a great shot.
And I mean, as much as I like Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter and the Hannibal Lecter character as a whole, Christoph Waltz as King Schultz is just perfect.
Yeah.
I've got to hand it to you, really. I think it's 2-2.
Yeah, sounding like it. Sounding like we're going to.
Good. That's what we want, sort of. At 2-2, then we have to see who the winner is from this final round, then, I suppose. It's up to my striker, and obviously I've used my sub, you've used your sub. I mean, I've kind of gone from a bit of a wild card up front, but it was an Oscar-winning performance that I couldn't really ignore, and it was from a genre of film I like, and it was just an actor that I like. It's also an actor I've actually already referenced in this episode to some degree. I've gone for Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck in Joker as my striker.
That's interesting.
How so?
Because in
You
goal,
haven't got Batman in goal, have you?
No, weirder still. You know, previously about the old football adage that they say, "Oh, goalkeepers are the craziest characters."
Yeah.
Well, Joker, but from The Dark Knight.
Oh my God! Really, a Joker derby?
It's a joke.
Oh my God! That couldn't be better, could it? It's actually
way.
Genuinely. I think I do wonder if people think we actually faked this, but we actually didn't know that. That couldn't be more perfect.
I mean, probably end up revealing my manager anyway. But as the home team, you get to go first. But I can tell you that I was also manager, and he big.
Yeah.
And in the end, I just plumped for he's Joker because I thought I know Rob likes Joker, so I felt like it would be a good thing to lean on. I thought I'd probably get away with it.
No,
obviously we've got a Joker off. So
it's mad though because I love the Christopher Nolan Joker trilogy,
Yeah.
Not Joker trilogy. What am I
Yeah,
talking about? Batman trilogy. I've got Joker in my head.
I always thought it is the Ra's al Ghul trilogy, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a very outside thought. Yeah, that's a very tough one. The good thing is that if it comes to it, we can just base it on who thought, like we can find a website that says which is better out of the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will mention my manager because it's a good time to bring him in. I've gone for. It's funny, really, because obviously the first ever episode we did of this was Mobsters and Gangsters, as picked by me. And even though I kind of based it all it was partly on The Sopranos, but also partly on The Godfather. I didn't actually have any Godfather characters in my team, but back then we didn't have managers. Since then, if we had managers, I think I would have had Vito Corleone, as in The Godfather, as my manager, as played by Marlon Brando, who've also already been mentioned in this episode. We've come full circle. If this was the last episode, it would be perfect. But I he plans everything. He doesn't jump straight to things and go, okay, I'm doing this or that. He thinks, and he doesn't say a lot, and when he does, you can barely hear him. But he's a thinker, and he's sort of, I think I like to think of him in my own mind. He's sort of got a similar approach and physical appearance and success rate of Marcelo Bielsa, kind of. You don't really know what he's saying, and even if he's speaking English, you're like, no idea. But he's respected, and he's got a wealth of knowledge, and he knows what he's talking about. So yeah, I think I couldn't really get past. I did sort of maybe think of having Lincoln from Lincoln as my manager.
Yeah.
Or maybe Churchill from Darkest Hour, but I know Churchill's quite a controversial pick these days, so I've steered clear of that. I
picked Churchill from Darkest Hour. Yeah.
Oh, right. But to be fair, Gary Oldman as Churchill was very good. And Gary Oldman is a very, very good actor, so that's a fair one.
He's my favourite, I think.
Yeah.
What really blew my mind when I first realised, I thought, yeah, that's the guy for me. And this does sound really silly, is watching the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
And also watching Harry Potter Sirius Black.
Yeah, he's that good.
If for some reason that they were the same person, and then just followed it throughout. He's incredible in Tinker Tail's Soldier Spy. If it wasn't for the artist, he would have. And just his performance as Churchill was. If we take sort of Churchill out of it, as a person, and maybe focus on the character of Churchill in Darkest Hour, like Rodman just shows him to be kind of, again, it's maybe a bit Bielsa in a way, that it's like this.
No, true.
This kind of eccentricness where you think, well, how does that even? Maybe if I wanted to differentiate, maybe I say it's like a Tim Sherwood sort of eccentricness. That you're like, does this work? And then somehow Gilet comes off, and you think, yeah, it works. It works. Yeah. So there's the managers to go with Jokers.
I mean, I had Church as one of my options on the bench, but they were never going to come on because it would sort of, maybe as a captain, but definitely as a manager. So but yeah, that'd be a tough one. Fictional Vito versus real Churchill. And also, I mean, a guy who's successfully managed a mafia dynasty versus a man who played a major role in winning World War II. I know they're both quite big achievements, but I mean, Churchill wins that one, let's be honest. Or at least Gary Oldman Churchill does.
Shall we just base it purely on what we can find online in Arthur Fleck versus versus Joker, as it were?
Yeah, Heath Ledger's Joker versus Joaquin Phoenix's. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be arguing over this, but it'd be interesting because obviously it's quite an interesting debate because it's kind of, I know I think obviously Heath Ledger deserved the Oscar because I do think, especially at the time, it was the best ever version of the Joker we'd ever seen, and it was such a massive difference from the other versions. But I think it's the point that he really made it. He showed that the character could be played differently, that made it stand out. But then Joaquin Phoenix he made it so real and was like, what if he can't help being like this, and that he's a product of his environment. So I think they both have really good. It's hard to decide between the two based on that. But I mean, to be honest, looking at it, I just like both, so I'm happy with either outcome. In a neutral way. I mean, obviously, I'd rather I won, but looking at both, really, they're both brilliant actors and brilliant performances. But from what I can tell, a lot of places say Heath Ledger, to be honest.
That's one. So I went on, literally googled which better, found the Forbes article from 2020, and they ranked all, and Heath Ledger came second, and Joaquin third. And the guesses for who?
Was it the original Cesar Romero?
No, he came fifth.
Did he? But he defined live action Joker. That's very controversial.
Go fish.
It's either one or two. It's either I doubt it can't be Jack Nicholson. So was it Mark? Was it Mark Hamill?
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's voiced version of the Joker is so highly, which is fair enough. But I can't help but think a live action one is far more. There's far more to it. But that's that's fine.
Hey, internet opinions.
It's a tough one, but everywhere I've looked, Heath Ledger's been above Joaquin Phoenix. I can't really fault it. So for that, it's one of those outcomes where I'm not really unhappy about it because I like your pick, but also, I can't argue against it because everywhere says the same thing. So that's
in a week as well, isn't it? Just remember that sweet feeling.
I'd forgotten what it feels like. But that's it. 3-2. Well done. Well deserved.
Thank you very much. Good game.
Finally, another win for me. That takes it to 5-4 in the season with all to play for in the final match. If you skipped through, here's a quick rundown of the results. I went 1-0 ahead when Lavonna Golden beat Saving Private Ryan's Captain John Miller in midfield. Rob equalised through Maximus Decimus Meridius as he beat Fontaine from Les Mis. Black Swans' Nina Sayers was subbed off for Forrest Gump as they combined to beat Streetcar's Blanche DuBois, before Dr. King Schultz of Django Unchained levelled it up with a goal against Hannibal Lecter. The final showdown saw Heath Ledger's Joker just edge out Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck in a Joker versus Joker matchup, as I took the win by 3-2. Thank you as always for listening. You can find us on social media. It's at FantFantFootPod if you're on Twitter, and it is at FantFantFoot on Facebook and Instagram. We'll be back again next Friday at 10 a.m. with perfect audio, a return to form for the Fantasy Football podcast. Until then, thank you so much for listening. Take care and goodbye.